You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Scott Jennings bursts out laughing in MAGA ally's face. "I'm sorry you don't read much," based on an article by Benito L. Tellati. War Powers as Cable-Tease Theater. The Rebel Story. The source is a CNN panel fight about whether Congress should restrain Trump's war powers in Iran. Scott Jennings mocked the idea of guardrails. Caroline Sunshine admitted she barely knew the history being invoked, and the segment turned into a display of elite ignorance, performative outrage, and conversational bullying. Who actually holds power? The central power problem is not the panel's volume level. It is the president's ability to escalate toward war while Congress dithers and television converts that constitutional failure into content. Jennings was not speaking from institutional responsibility, he was laundering executive aggression as toughness. The real decision maker in the background is Trump, with Congress playing the role of a bystander asking permission to matter. The point of the mocker, Jennings' sneering, was not argument. It was a tactic: belittle the question so the question disappears. If you can make oversight sound childish, you do not have to defend unchecked war powers on the merits. That is the move. Turn constitutional restraint into naivete, then cast the demand for limits as sentimental weakness. Misplacing the blame. The segment wants the audience to linger on Sunshine's ignorance because ignorance is easier to ridicule than policy. But ignorance on a panel is not the core danger here. The danger is a political media system that treats whether the US should widen conflict with Iran as a shouting match instead of a decision about blood, money, and democratic control. The conversation was about how many troops and how much money the US should be willing to spend. That is the question. Everything else is insulation. The pattern. This is a familiar authoritarian pattern. Concentrate power, normalize escalation, then use spectacle to blunt accountability. The war-making state does not need everyone to agree. It only needs enough pundits, anchors, and lawmakers to treat restraint as ridiculous and permanence as inevitable. Cable news then packages that surrender as debate. What this reveals: the democratic failure is not that one commentator got humiliated on live TV. It is that American institutions keep allowing war powers to drift upward into the executive while public argument gets reduced to ego and trivia. When Congress needs guardrails, that is not partisan theater. It is evidence that the machinery of restraint has already been hollowed out. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Ross Story for today's article, with the automated voice of Arctic. Thanks for listening.